They say the sun reveals everything, but no one ever tells you how brutal that truth can be when you're not ready to face it. The sun was already high over the city, pouring harsh light into narrow alleyways where shadows usually hid the world's forgotten moments. Dust floated in the air, cracked bricks reflected heat, and between two aging buildings, where no one ever stopped to look, something was happening that would quietly change an entire city's heartbeat. Adrian Mercer had just returned from weeks overseas. His sleek black car rolled to a stop, polished and spotless, a sharp contrast against the worn pavement. Adrian was known everywhere, on magazine covers, business panels, charity galas, as a man who had it all. Wealth, influence, control. He was admired, envied, and feared in equal measure. What he expected when he stepped out of that car was simple: a smile. A hug, the familiar comfort of the woman he loved. What he saw instead stopped his breath. Lying against the cold alley pavement was his wife, Mara. Blood stained her forehead. Her clothes were torn. Her hands shook as she clutched a small bundle of belongings like it was the only thing anchoring her to reality. She looked up at him slowly, eyes hollow, terrified, eyes that had seen something no one should ever have to survive. The woman who once filled rooms with laughter looked broken. Before Adrian's mind could even process what he was seeing, his heart shattered. In that moment, the city's most untouchable millionaire dropped to his knees on dirty concrete, cradling his wife like the world had just collapsed around them. And in that instant, Adrian Mercer made a decision that would shock everyone who thought they knew him. If you believe in kindness, humanity, and second chances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that need them. Adrian had always believed his success was armor. He thought money protected the people he loved. That power built walls strong enough to keep danger out. But seeing Mara on the ground beneath unforgiving daylight destroyed that illusion completely. Her skin was bruised, her arms scraped raw, her breathing shallow and uneven. She wasn't just injured, she had been abandoned, thrown away like her life didn't matter. Adrian lifted her carefully, his hands trembling. Her weight felt heavier than anything he had ever carried, not because of her body, but because of the guilt crushing his chest. Mara leaned into him weakly, clinging to him as if he was the last safe place left in her world. In that moment, money meant nothing. He took her home immediately, ignoring the stunned looks from his staff, ignoring every business call lighting up his phone. Meetings were cancelled. Deals were delayed. The city could wait. Nothing mattered more than Mara's fragile breaths and the silence in her eyes. A doctor arrived discreetly. The examination was careful, quiet, clinical. The verdict was devastating. She had been attacked, left behind deliberately. As Adrian listened, anger rose inside him like a violent storm, but beneath that fury was something deeper and more painful: guilt. He wondered how long Mara had been suffering quietly while he chased deadlines and profits. How many times she had needed him and found an empty house instead. How many messages he might have missed while convincing himself that providing financially was the same as being present. Each thought cut sharper than the last. While Mara rested in a warm room bathed in soft daylight, Adrian sat outside her door, staring at the floor like a man whose entire world had cracked open. He had known struggle once, long before the money, before the empire. But he never imagined pain would return through the person he loved most. His mansion, once a symbol of success, now felt hollow, cold, pointless. Days passed. Mara's body slowly healed, but her silence weighed heavily on the house. She didn't cry. She didn't ask questions. She simply existed, as if relearning how to live in a world that had betrayed her. Then one afternoon, with sunlight filtering gently through the curtains, she finally spoke. Her voice was barely above a whisper. She told Adrian she had gone out to help a neighbor, a struggling woman with a small child who had nowhere to go. Mara had always been like that, compassionate, soft-hearted, giving. That kindness had cost her. A group of men cornered her, took her belongings, hurt her, left her in that alley like she didn't exist. Adrian listened without interrupting, without blinking. His hands clenched, his jaw tightened. But something unexpected happened. Instead of seeking revenge, he chose responsibility. Adrian did something that stunned the entire city. He refused to hide. He went public. Standing beside his recovering wife, he went live across every major network in broad daylight. There was no script, no image control, no spin, only truth. He admitted his failures, his absence, his misplaced priorities. He spoke about the violence that thrived in silence, about the suffering hidden in the city's shadows, and about how wealth had blinded him to realities others lived every day. He didn't speak as a billionaire. He spoke as a husband, and the city listened. What followed felt unreal. Organizations reached out. Volunteers flooded in. Shelters were funded. Street patrol programs formed almost overnight. Adrian financed them not as charity, but as a promise. A promise to his wife. A promise to the forgotten. A promise that no one would be abandoned unseen again. Slowly, Mara began to heal, not just physically, but emotionally. She saw strangers standing together. Communities choosing compassion over cruelty. She saw Adrian becoming the man she had always believed he could be. Their lives grew quieter, but deeper. Mornings were spent visiting shelters. Afternoons helping families. Evenings holding each other closer than they had in years. The pain hadn't disappeared, but it had transformed into purpose. Adrian's transformation shocked the city, not because of his wealth, but because he chose humanity over pride, love over silence, and vulnerability over image. And one day, standing on a small stage at a daytime charity event dedicated to victims of violence, Adrian looked out at thousands of people united by compassion. For the first time in his life, he felt true success. Not built on money, but on meaning. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and tell us in the comments, which moment stayed with you the longest.